Upgrading your old PC into a budget-oriented esports gaming machine can be a difficult thing to do nowadays, which is mostly down to the extremely overpriced used GPU market. Therefore, you would want to be sure that a pairing would deliver the performance you were actually after. That's exactly what I'm here for to find out for you today, as I'm putting together not so great budget parts. So for the GPU, we have a 5-year-old 2GB entry-level card, namely the RX 550. Card that for some time was the only one available on store shelves and is sold on the used market for more than its released price. Performance-wise, it fits somewhere between the GTX 750 and 750 Ti, offering the same level of efficiency. The CPU for today comes straight out of AMD's darkest times, with an Athlon X4 840, a CPU with not so great reputation against some of Intel's competition. I will be testing this pairing out in 3 categories of games, namely esports gaming, older AAA titles, and some of the most recent releases in the AAA market. This means that most of the use cases of this configuration will be covered, at least gaming-wise, and we will have a clear picture of its capabilities at the end. Starting things off with Valorant, a title that is pretty easy to run, and will perform nicely on this kind of system, offering almost 100 frames on average. Although there are a few stutters here and there, it is quite decent performance for any casual gamer. CSGO runs very similar to Valorant, with the same stutters present from time to time. They aren't really that off-putting, and I could enjoy a couple of rounds with this system without a problem. Moving on to some older AAA titles, first up we have 2013's Tomb Raider, which runs exceptionally well using the high preset and 1080p resolution. Maybe even the highest preset would be possible here, but you would need to sacrifice the smoothness of 60+ FPS on average. Far Cry 4 ran surprisingly well on this very intensive scene with all the fire and action going on. It kept a stable frame rate of around 40, but for a close to 60 FPS experience, you need to turn the settings down. Nevertheless, this is quite enjoyable performance without any dips or stutters. As we progress through the years, even the older titles need adjustments in settings, with The Witcher 3 offering around 30 to 40 FPS with all the settings turned down, but you can keep the 1080p resolution, and even at these settings, the game looks great. To finish off the older generation of games, Dark Souls 3 ran decent enough to die with a smooth 47 FPS on average. So as we saw in The Witcher and here in Dark Souls, 2016 represents somewhat of a turning point for this system, with most games before that running great, but at this point you should start to consider to reduce the settings and resolution, to just barely get playable frame rates. If you ever wondered how it looks playing Doom on a wireless mouse, well, you don't have to do anymore. But regardless of not so great gameplay, the performance was decent, although dynamic resolution scaling was on and the game was playing at 50% of 1080p, with a couple of stutters from time to time. newest game on today's list is Elden Ring, hitting just about 30 FPS on average, with quite heavy drops and realistically not so playable frame rates. Considering the hardware, this wasn't so bad. A not so new title is God of War, since it was released back in 2018, but it got a re-release for PC quite recently, so the performance on our budget system is far from good, with heavy drops and overall just bad frame rate. So it's safe to say that this one was the worst performing game of the day. The Mafia remake ran okay using the 720p resolution and turning all the settings down, but it ran better when you are on foot rather than driving around, as that puts quite some stress on the system, and you can experience frame drops and spikes. To finish off the benchmarks with a game that isn't really a challenge for this system, we have Dirt Rally 2 running great on the medium preset, offering a nice mixture of visual quality and performance. So there you have it, wide range of games tested on not so great hardware. Personally, I think this can be a nice esports gaming machine, but of course, you shouldn't really expect to be running Warzone on this. But what you can run are these not so demanding esports games, shown in the video. And of course not to forget the performance in the older games, so if you are a fan of these games and have never played it before, this can be the right thing for you. As for modern day gaming performance, well, it's nice to see that the system can handle newer AAA releases, but in most of them, you would be on the verge of playable frame rates. All in all, there are better options out there, of course. But for example, if you already have this CPU, then a GPU like the RX 550 isn't a bad choice. So this concludes the testing for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and that I helped you even a tiny bit in deciding what would be the best choice for you.